it's still winter. Today is about January the 83rd, I think, which means most plants are either fast asleep or just lounging around in their pyjamas. But some little winter beauties are up and dressed and looking their best, like Sarcococca. In January, these plants are covered in tiny little white flowers. They're well behaved, so they don't really need pruning. Pests or diseases don't really bother them, and they're not afraid of the dark either, so they're great to grow in shade. I mean, look at this one, growing right underneath this enormous oak tree. But by far their best feature is their perfume. Oh, that's so nice. That is a hit of summer in the middle of winter, and that is good for the soul. In the last few years, sweet box has become a useful alternative to regular box plants because they don't mind being clipped in the same way into little low, tight hedges. But of course, they're not bothered with things like box tree caterpillar or box blight. If you are going to keep them clipped, then just remember to do it immediately after they finish flowering. Because if you leave it much later on in the season, you might accidentally be cutting off the flowers for next season. So, with their beautiful perfume, their easygoing nature, and their resilience to pests and diseases, you'd think these plants would be as well known as lavender or tulips, wouldn't you? But that name doesn't exactly trip off the tongue, does it? So if you like the sound of these plants, but are a bit nervous of asking for Sarcococca at the garden centre, then just call it sweet box. That's its common name. There are 3 different types of sweet box. Now, if you can say Jarvis cocker, you can say Sarcococca. So come on, let's have a go. We can do this. Right, there's this one, which has lovely dark green glossy leaves and grows to about 1.5 metres tall. There's this one, Sarcococca hookeriana. That's it, you're getting the hang of it. Nice. This has narrower leaves and grows to about the same height. And there's also Sarcococca solenia. There we are. You see, I knew you could do it. This one is much smaller, so it's good if the space is a bit tight, or it's good in pots as well. They're not especially fussy about soil type, but if you can give them some really good mulch, maybe some well-rotted farmyard manure, or if you've got some homemade compost, then give them a good layer of mulch every year, round about this time of the year, and they'll certainly thank you for it. And also this time of the year is a good time to be planting them. Any time between now and sort of April time is the best time because there's still plenty of water in the soil. And if you still miss that window and you plant them in July, it's not the end of the world, but you just have to water them, obviously a bit more. And of course they will also grow in a big pot. I mean, something like that, ideally. And then you can put them by your front door. Whichever one you go for, they all have beautifully perfumed flowers. That perfume will welcome you home long before you arrive. And I tell you what, it makes taking the bins out an absolute joy.